New tonight, Trudeau threatening Trump, the outgoing Canadian Prime Minister warning President Trump of immediate
Tesla taking the biggest hit, down 6%. That's not the only potential headache.
Elon Musk knows that Pierre Poilievre is his guy in Canada.
Trade tensions between Canada and the United States have kicked off a fresh chapter, and this time, Tesla's the one in the crosshairs. The American electric vehicle giant steered by Elon Musk finds itself smack in the middle of a showdown that goes beyond business. It's about power, economic nationalism, and strategic sparring. On one side, Donald Trump's aggressive tariffs have rattled the American auto industry. On the other, Canada's seeing growing calls for a targeted tax on Tesla and beefier subsidies for vehicles made on home turf. The question popping up is unavoidable. What does this new front of retaliation mean for North America's auto sector? And why, right now, has Canada decided to zero in on one of the United States' most iconic companies? Welcome to the Strategic Flow. Today, we're breaking down a new escalation in the trade tensions between the United States and Canada, a move that could redraw the map of North America's auto industry. While Tesla's stealing the spotlight, the ripple effects hit the whole vehicle manufacturing chain, from suppliers to old-school automakers. If you're into deep dives on the behind-the-scenes of economic power plays, think about subscribing and turning on notifications. Now let's dig into the fallout of this clash and figure out what's really at stake. The spark for this tension traces back to the trade policies Donald Trump rolled out during his term. The tariffs slapped on countries like Canada and Mexico didn't just stir up diplomatic friction, they triggered strategic and sometimes surprising pushbacks. In Canada, lawmakers from the New Democratic Party, NDP, came out swinging with a bold proposal. Slap a specific tariff on Tesla vehicles while tossing a $10,000 incentive at electric cars built on Canadian soil. In practice, this policy ain't just about economics. It's symbolic. It's a flat-out attempt to shrink Tesla's footprint in the Canadian market and give a leg up to homegrown manufacturers. At the heart of this mess is the tariff backdrop Donald Trump set up. In February 2025, his administration dropped new tariffs on vehicles and auto parts coming from Mexico, Canada, and China, a move that shook the American auto industry to its core. Canada's reaction was instant. The measure got branded as unfair and hostile, sparking public outrage and cranking up the political rhetoric. Over in the States, the blowback hit hard too. Manufacturers got slammed with sudden cost spikes, logistical hiccups, and operational headaches. The reason's pretty straightforward. The North American auto supply chains all tangled up together. Parts and components bounce across the borders between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico over and over before a car's ready to roll. With tariffs gumming up the works, that model's been thrown off balance, screwing over both automakers and buyers. Even with its beefy setup, like the standout Gigafactory in Nevada, Tesla ain't dodging the fallout from the tariff policy. Canada's new moves hit the company straight on, jacking up costs for parts, raw materials, and imported components. But the real meat of this fight goes beyond tariffs. The NDP's doubling down, pushing for specific taxes on Tesla vehicles while pumping up that $10,000 cash boost for folks picking locally made models. The goal's crystal clear: kneecap Tesla's hold on the Canadian market and prop up domestic players. Outlets like the CBC are quoting lawmakers straight up saying, "We're going to penalize American brands and back our own manufacturers." Meanwhile, the Driven spilled that Toronto's already cut Tesla out of its subsidy program. A slick, strategic jab at Elon Musk. The dilemma's legit. On one hand, political pressure and vanishing incentives. On the other, Musk's Canadian citizenship and the risk of sales tanking, especially when buyers get a fat economic edge by going with local rivals. Canada's pushback ain't just in the halls of Parliament. Public pressure's picking up steam too, with thousands signing a symbolic petition to yank Elon Musk's Canadian citizenship. Sure, it's got no legal teeth, but it shows a rising tide of resentment toward Tesla, and Musk himself in particular. The political talks following the same vibe. NDP lawmakers sum it up blunt. Trump hit Canada with tariffs. We're hitting back by targeting Tesla. Picking Tesla ain't random. It's been one of the hottest electric vehicle brands in Canada lately, but with new taxes and yanked subsidies, its prices are set to climb, handing local manufacturers a bigger edge. Musk hasn't piped up officially yet, but folks are betting he'll pull the same playbook he used in the US. China trade spat, maybe tweaking prices or rethinking his footprint in the country. Tesla's American identity's still a big flag to wave, but with costs piling up, even that might take a backseat. So here's a strategic curveball. Would Tesla think about setting up shop in Canada? That kind of move could get the company tagged as a domestic manufacturer, dodging tariffs and snagging local subsidies. But it's not clear if that fits into Elon Musk's global expansion game plan, which runs on a tight, geographically calculated production logic. And Tesla ain't the only one feeling the heat. Economically and politically, the new tariffs' effects spill way past just one brand. Big American names like Ford and GM are also getting crushed under the weight of Canada's new regulatory vibe. With costs shooting up, tax burdens growing, and economic wobbles stirring uncertainty, a bunch of Canadian buyers might end up switching to cheaper brands, or even homegrown startups. This whole standoff between the two countries could end up flipping the market upside down. At the core of this scrap is a political logic that's bigger than plain economics. Canadian officials are flat out asking, why keep handing incentives to foreign brands like Tesla when we can prioritize the ones building here? That approach not only boosts local industry, but also puts American automakers operating in Canada in an even tighter spot. On the U.S. side, Trump's defending the tariffs with his usual line. They've been ripping our country off for years. Now we're making it right. After similar dust-ups with Mexico and China, he's called Canada a treacherous ally, lighting a fire under Ottawa's response. Canadian politicians fired back with measured grit. The United States is our top trade partner, but we're not going to sit here and take it. In that light, picking Tesla as a target's a symbolic play. It's not just a brand, it's an American icon. Hitting it sends a loud message to Trump and the U.S. public. Canada can throw punches too. The NDP's moves got a clear political angle too, shoring up its leftist base by pushing penalties on big American corporations and pairing that with subsidies for green tech made in Canada. The party's crafting a populist pitch with heavy nationalist vibes. But how's that landing with buyers? Some say Tesla's in such a high-end market that price hikes won't faze its customers. That skips over the role of its more wallet-friendly models though, like the Model 3 and Model Y, which drive a big chunk of sales. An extra tax on those cars would make Tesla a tough sell for a solid slice of Canadian buyers, nudging them toward cheaper options from GM or local startups. That'd shrink Tesla's market share in turn. To fight back, the company could lean on price cuts or promo blitzes. But that's got a catch: slimmer profit margins. Bottom line, the butterfly effect of Trump's tariffs has put Tesla's future in Canada Square in the danger zone. There's a more symbolic and personal twist in this fight too. Elon Musk's Canadian roots. Born in South Africa, sure, but he lived in Canada for a stretch and holds citizenship there. Now, with tensions peaking, a public petition to strip that citizenship's racked up thousands of signatures, even getting a shout out from the BBC. The legal ground for that's shaky, but its political and emotional weight's loud and clear. There's a swelling public backlash, fueled by nationalism and a sense of economic betrayal. Add to that the chatter that Musk's tight with the Trump crew, even though that tie's had its spats. For plenty, Tesla's turned into a stand-in for the American agenda, and by extension, Trump's protectionist push. Some Canadian nationalist corners keep it simple. You hit us with tariffs, we'll hit back by punishing your most iconic brand. The big question now is whether the NDP's growing push for a Tesla-specific tax will actually turn into law. With the political muscle they've built in recent elections, the party's been maneuvering to shield Canadian manufacturers and shake up the electric vehicle market's competitive layout. Kicking Tesla out of Toronto's subsidy program was just the opening shot. If the NDP's plans roll forward, buyers eyeing a Tesla Model 3 or Model Y could see the price tag jump by as much as $10,000. On the flip side, if Tesla started building in Canada, its cars could qualify for the same perks local brands get now, a shift that industry analysts say would shake up the market big time. The risk for Tesla is real, losing market share, profit margins, and watching homegrown rivals, including startups, grab ground in Canada. This mess also drags up a core question: what's left of free trade principles? With tariffs, retaliation, and targeted subsidies flying around, the idea of economic integrations getting swapped out for protectionist moves and geopolitical posturing. Word on the street is Tesla might be eyeballing a production site in Canada. It wouldn't be a first. The company pulled that move in Shanghai with its China Gigafactory, blending pragmatism with global ambition. If Canada's government greases the wheels, Tesla could lock in as a domestic manufacturer, sidestepping tariffs and tapping subsidies. But that'd bring a dilemma. How far can Tesla, a poster child for American industrial pride, bend to economic logic over its national identity? In trade war times, even corporate citizenship turns into a tactical play. Whatever shakes out, the headline's already telling. Canada targets Tesla, U.S. auto industry under pressure. But the impact's bigger than cars. Trump's tariffs on key partners like Canada, Mexico, and China are jacking up costs in critical sectors: logistics, agriculture, energy, and tech. This spiral of tensions has sparked fresh doubts about the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, once hyped as a regional cooperation win. Is that deal on the ropes thanks to this tariff escalation? For now, moves like cutting Tesla from subsidies and floating extra tariffs feel symbolic. But if they pick up steam, the US might clap back, hitting Canadian vehicles or parts. What looks like a local scrap today could fast turn into a full-on trade war, and the fallout, more than economic, will be straight-up strategic. What do you think? Should Tesla back off and adapt to Canada's new game, or face the crisis head-on? How do these tensions hit the logic of global trade in your eyes? Drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you're thinking. And of course, if this kind of content sharpens your grip on the global economy's backroom moves, think about subscribing and dropping a like. Catch you in the next episode.